the Australian bowlers have decided that the mental games are going to go towards Chris Gayle. Does he even listen to stuff like this?
You look at that West Indies lineup and there are so many left-handers. Actually, bringing in off-spinner wouldn't have been a bad call.
Gayle, yeah, exactly.
But this is something which has got me really excited. Because,
Mr. Worldwide. I mean, let's talk about that. What's his name, Mr. Worldwide? I can't even remember.
To start with, Australians was all about for the last one and a half years since the time
playing the game in the spirit.
The sandpaper gate had happened. It was about bringing about that cultural change. We're not going to be saying things. We're just going to go play our cricket and go back. Is this the first series Warner and Smith being back in the squad?
It is.
It is.
So I don't know exactly whether it's Warner and Smith or just the cultural change which they were talking about. You see those jerseys which Australians are wearing. It's very retro. So maybe
they're back to the bad old
cultural
days.
change is about going back to what it was, which was working for them. But look, I mean. I didn't expect Australians to go after Chris Gayle, because if you're doing something like this, you got to be smart. You got to be smart about it. You got to target a player, a batsman, or go after the opponent captain. You got to be smart with that. The reason I'm saying it because you got to go after the guy who is going to get under pressure after using these kind of words. So I don't think Chris Gayle is the sort of guy who is going to get bogged down. If not, he's just going to get inspired to come out there and make sure that he puts up a great show. He's gonna forget that he's a 40-year-old. He's gonna forget that his reflexes are getting slower. He's gonna forget the fact that his back is troubling him.
Yeah, reflexes slow, bad back. That's Chris Gayle's 2019.
Yeah, I mean he's. And you're giving him the right platform. I feel that it may work because it takes only one delivery to get a batsman out. And yes, the short ball has been troubling Chris Gayle. But when you put it out there in the open in this fashion that we are not considering you, and he'll say that okay, fine. This is the right kind of inspiration. You might end of the game today. You might have Chris Gayle having his say. And if he's having his say, it's not going to be good. That means he's had a great outing, and he'll be at that presentation saying that, oh, these words really inspired me and got the best out of me to play the kind of innings which he's played.
So there is a right way and a wrong way to do this, and the man sitting next to you probably knows the righter way to do it, shall we say?
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's very interesting, and it happens all the time. In fact, sometimes teams take it to inspire it. I mean, the West Indies manager might just go and tape it up in the locker room to make sure Chris Gayle has seen that message. Because if you remember, PR Mansingh, that's what he did, when India played their first World Cup match in the West Indies. The first match, when they won in '83, PR Mansingh went out there and he read out a David Frith column saying, India shouldn't be playing the World Cup. Teams like India are bringing down the standard of the World Cup. So if you tell a Kapil Dev that, he thinks that you're something. So look, as I said, sometimes even, as I said, a good manager will take it and put it up, or a captain will put it up and say, Chris, maybe you'll have something to do.
It can happen in all walks of life. I mean, for me, my earliest memory of hearing this was for Amitabh Bachchan when he used to be a young corporate in Calcutta working for Blacker and Company, and he did a couple of plays, and when he did his first play, there was a statesman correspondent who wrote so-and-so was good, so-and-so was good, but this young man called Mr. Bachchan should not take up acting as a career. And he did read that in the papers. So it's one of those things that can inspire you. Yeah. So 2008, Zaheer, was there a right way to do it?
2008, which month? 2007 or 2008?
First Test match, Bangalore.
Well, there are so many incidences where you have to just pinpoint exactly which.
Fair enough.
He's done it many
so
times.
Many, he says. So many.
But I think always you would never go after someone like Virat Kohli. In today's generation, that's the right example. You don't want to go after him because he's just going to bring out his best game, and that's something. Those battles he enjoys. He might have taken Rabada's comment lightly, but inside he knows what he has to do out there, and he's driven that way. In our time, Steve Waugh was the classic example. He used to love that battle on the field. If someone nudging him, that used to bring out the best in him. And with Chris Gayle, knowing his personality, you know, these kind of comments are actually going to inspire him. You know, he's actually going to, because he's got that fire. You know, he comes across as someone, you know, who takes things lightly. You know, he's always a party boy, and you know, all those kind of things. But he's very serious when it comes to his cricket, and that's the reason he's playing for so long. You know, if he's not passionate about the game, you think that he'll be hanging in there for so long. Of course, that passion is there. He wants to go out there, prove a point, and this is at this stage. It's just setting a stage for him, you know, to be inspired and motivated to go out there and perform.
Also, I believe that the Australians can't basically change. I mean, if you look at it, they talk about in the convicts coming out in 1761. The Australian nature is to sledge, fight, say whatever you have to, then have a drink later. But the truth of it is, on the game, they've won and they've been successful with that. Suddenly, you want to become good boys and go to church and all that. वो होता नहीं है यार. Once they started winning, they go back to their old ways. Always remember, the other interesting thing is, their captain never does it, their main player will never do it. The chirp will always come from the side, you know, Pat Cummins, some other player. It will not come from the captain, it will not come from a Finch, it will not come from Steve Smith. And they do it so that when the attack comes, he will not attack him back, you know. You get what I mean? If it's captain to captain, the guy might make a statement back. So it's often and you know, John Buchanan has written about in his book, it was a tactic, it was a deliberate tactic that they used to do. When in India, as I said, Zach was good enough to do it on his own. He didn't need, you know, the management.
I strongly feel at this point in the World Cup, you know, if all the teams, if you feel that Australia is coming with this nine win streak and all those kind of things, they're playing well. If they have to derail them, it's very simple. You know, you have to go after Warner and Smith.
Yeah.
You know, why the other teams have been so good. You have to remind them of what has been happening, and if they started in this fashion right now, teams are going to take note of that. It's like, you know, we've been nice to Australia, you know, we are helping good cricketers, and you know, everyone has been giving sympathy to Warner and Smith,
except for the crowds in England.
Yeah, maybe, but just on the whole, if you look at it, you know, in the world of cricket, everyone has been saying that, oh, you know, Smith has been hard done. Warner, you know, they should be given the chance. Create an environment which is as good as for them. Then why start this? I think the timing of it is wrong, and I hope that, you know, in the World Cup, other teams take note of this and you know, bring out their best game. So that's something which won't be a wrong thing to do going forward.
Question for all of you. It's not a joy factor question. Who are Australia playing next on Sunday? India.